Hey guys, JC Smith here. Today we're back on this doing the axle swap. Today I need to get the block out from underneath this one and swap it over to the other one, and we're going to use the new Milwaukee Fuel M18 1400 foot-pounds of torque socket or impact and see how it does on these rusty nuts. See how she does. Ready? Close your ears or plug your ears. Turn your volume down. I'd say that did pretty well. Can't go too far. I need to get a bottle jack underneath here to hold that up, because I want to just let it down enough to get that block out and then change the other one out. Let me get a jack underneath this before I go any farther. I should have had it set up already. I got my jack underneath here now. I'll tell you, that's pretty impressive right there. That's a 15/16 socket. The only thing I don't like so far is I haven't been able to find a cover for it, because it'll look like crap when I'm done with it, because I'll be using it pretty hard, I guess, compared to some guys. Maybe other guys are harder on tools than we are, but regardless. Alright. Not exactly easy to do one-handed. I usually have my assistant here to take care of the camera, but she's a little busy today. She's got other things going on. Alright guys, so these are the rear lift blocks that Ford uses. These are standard F250, which are about 1 7/8 inches. And this is the lift, which is right at 3 7/8 in the back and 3 1/2 in the front. So the reason it's like that, tapered, is so as you start to lift this thing and your pinion's coming down, your pinion angle is changing from your pinion to your drive shaft. So the farther you lift it, you're actually bringing the axle away and you're making that angle steeper. So they make that tapered so you can take the axle and it turns it to compensate for the pinion angle. That's why you'll see a tapered one. So if you ever put these in, you want to be sure that you got a taper tall side to the back on a rear axle. I don't think the factory ones are tapered at all. Let's see, 1 7/8 inches, 1 7/8. Nope, they're not tapered at all. So that's out. So now I'm going to get this one in the truck we're keeping. This one, the factory size, goes right back in that truck. Guys, here's a little tip or trick, what do you want to call it? I do. If I'm doing U-bolts, put the threads in some old motor oil. That way when I'm running them nuts up, they're not dry. Alright, so you can see the oil still running down the threads here. These threads still have some oil up on here, so it works out pretty well. When I tighten these up, I just snug them all up to where the plate is level on the spring here, and I have about the same amount of thread showing everywhere. And then I want to make sure that a couple things. I want these U-bolts to be as tight together as they can be up against the perch, and also you need to make sure that there's a indicator pin on this block. It needs to be sitting on in the hole on the axle perch, so it's centered. And then there's a relief cut right in here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. Yeah, there you go. So there's the center pin that goes all the way through the leaf springs. okay, and comes up here. So what that does is going to keep that axle centered right here and keep your leaf springs from doing this and walking away and your axle coming loose. So it's very important you got this top plate sit right correctly on your center pin. Your center pin needs to line up all the way through here. If your center pin is broke, you need to replace it. That's dangerous, very dangerous. You can get them in any spring shops, and I'm not sure if AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Advance, I think they have those in kind of like their helpline, but very important. That locator pin is what keeps that stack from moving. Excuse me. These only hold the axle to the leaf spring, but that alignment pin working with here and here will help keep the axle from moving forward and back. So pretty important. So that's this side done, and now we're going to put the block back in the other side and move on from there. This side's much easier. This will show you the index, the receptacle, the receiver hole. Okay, this one's got some crud in it, and I'll show you. I'm going to clean that out, but I want to show you what happens if you don't clean it out. Okay, can you see this here? See how it's rocking? And there's a possibility the U-bolts could squish it all down and it'd be alright, but I'll tell you, it's worth the little bit of effort to grab a pick, a screwdriver, whatever, and clean that out. You'll be glad you did. And you make sure the head's still here, and make sure that your bolts, your center pin's not broke. If the center pin on this particular truck was broken, these springs would have came apart. When I let the pressure off, they would want to separate, because the only holding these in here is that center pin. These hold them in line from moving left and right. And see the one up here, that clamp, that holds the stack together this way, stops it from going this way. But this is the only thing that really holds it from, spreading apart when I took the axle loose. So let me get this cleaned up. We'll get this side back together. Something else to make note of, guys. You want to make sure this is clean too, because what will happen is if this is dirty, you put all this together and you tighten it up as you go down the road, and it starts hitting bumps and whatever. If there's dirt and rust and stuff here, it'll start crushing that into a powder, and then it can come out, and then your U-bolts will be loose. So it's very important you make sure the bottom and the top are clean. And anytime I do this and I put the U-bolts back in, I'll drive it for a test drive, and I'll bring it back and recheck them, make sure they're tight, because a lot of times you'll tighten them up and everything will settle in and you may be loose. You not like to think you wouldn't be, but it has happened, so you just be careful. Sometimes you take this apart, the axle will come down and go back or go forward. Well, rather than trying to manhandle it and kick it and move it and push it, I just take a ratchet strap, hook it to the front leaf spring hanger somehow, pull it forward, and then get all my parts in, get my U-bolts in, get it snugged up, and then take that loose. Just a little trick might make things a little bit easier for you. And I do one side at a time. As you see, it's on jack stands, and then I have a bottle jack in here. The purpose of the bottle jack is it comes straight down. If you use a floor jack, as it comes down, it either shortens or lengthens because it's a sweeping arm. The bottle jack goes straight up and down, makes it easier for me to line this stuff up, so that's why I use it. Okay, so I'm putting this back together, and there's a difference in that spacer between the main leaf springs and the helper spring. This one's much thicker than the one on the other one, which means the U-bolts we took out of the other truck were too short. So I went down to my parts stash, and I found these ones, which we took out of a 09 Superduty, and it had the big helper springs, and it was full drive. As you can see, it's about 1 inch and some change longer, which is exactly what I need. So it pays to keep some of the stuff around. Okay, both sides are done, both trucks are done. This is a truck we're keeping now, and you see that it now has the lift blocks in it. So this is just about ready to go. I gotta get some wheels and tires on it, which this will get the the big aftermarket tires, but I wanted to look and see what it had for brakes before I put that in there, just in case it needs them. It's hard for the camera to pick it up, but it seems like they're just a little under half. So we'll be putting brakes on this before I put it back together. So I guess I better get at that. Okay guys, so I got it all back together. The last step I did was take a breaker bar, nice 2-foot breaker bar, and crank on them, make sure they're as tight as I can get them. You probably ought to check, see what the torque spec is, if that's what you choose to do. Pretty much what we do is like I said before, tighten them all up, we'll test drive it, we'll bring it back, we'll check it, and we'll check it probably another time or two. I think that's about all I got on this one for right now. I'm going to order up some new calipers, rotors, and brake pads. We'll get all this done, get it back together, and then I should be able to show you what this truck's going to look like with the lift on. I might even get these toolboxes out and this light bar. It's a directional bar. It's got strobes on the back. It's got a beacon on top, and then floodlights up on top. But we're going to take all that stuff off. We don't want that on the truck anymore. We already took this out of another truck. So hopefully pretty soon we'll have it all finished up, so we'll bring you along. Okay guys, here it is. It's all done, all back to factory. Buddy of ours is going to get it. He'll be here in about an hour or two. It's all back the way it was from, you know, original height, original gear ratios. It's got 373s front and rear. I just got back from test driving it again. I put about 100 miles on it since we put the front axle back in. I want to make sure everything was okay. Went and ran it through the car wash so we could get it cleaned up for him, and just stopped, put some gas in it, and it's all ready to go. I mean, this truck looks like it's never been used. Inside the bed's got some stuff I couldn't get out at the car wash, but you know, it's still like new. And my wife cleaned the interior up. I put cardboard down because it's muddy, but she got everything cleaned up and it's all ready to go for him. So this will probably be the last time we see this truck, but that's the conclusion to the front axle swap. I guess I could show you the other truck, what it looks like now, so let's go over there. Okay, so this is the axle swap. That's the truck we put the 35s on and put the other axle in, and this is going to be, we think this is going to be Brandon's new truck. We'll take the toolboxes out, he don't want that. And I think we're going to paint the bottom of this that tan color that Ford uses a lot, and then we'll put the wheel lip moldings around the front and the rear just to make it look a little bit nicer, not quite so plain. And then we're going to swap out the front, or the running boards, with those other ones I got the other day. We'll change out the front end. It'll get composite headlights, chrome grille, and chrome rear front and rear bumpers. But that's her. Oh, I got to change the hood out. There's a dent in the hood. But that's that. So anyways guys, that's the end of this. End of the axle swap. So maybe we'll bring you along on the next one. We've got a couple another project getting ready to go. I'm going to be working on the Dodge. I'm putting axle joints and all the ball joints in it here pretty quick. So anyways, I'm going to leave you with that. If you like what we're doing, give us that thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And leave your comments down below, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.